Wars and natural disasters. Beyond physical damage, their lingering psychological effects can be devastating. Men and women, old and young, crippled by injuries no one can see, with little chance for help from traditional sources. Dr. Jim Gordon saw these problems firsthand. He knew that emerging treatments for post-traumatic stress could help. In 1991, he founded the Center for Mind-Body Medicine. It was the beginning of the center's work to train caregivers.
Each of those people, we expect, will reach hundreds, if not thousands. And they'll reach them directly by groups they're running. They'll reach them by bringing the training back and sharing it with people in their institutions.
A Harvard-trained physician, teacher at Georgetown, researcher at the National Institute of Mental Health, and advisor to President Clinton. Dr. Gordon was uniquely able to pull together resources for the center.
I couldn't do all the things I wanted to in any established structure. I'd had the great luxury of doing it at NIMH for 10 years, essentially following my interests. And then I got out on my own, and I loved doing my private practice. I was writing articles. But I really wanted to do something that would have more of an effect. How can I reach large numbers of people to help them, and especially help them help themselves, and create this new model, this new holistic or integrated model?
In Kosovo, the center trained 600 mental health care professionals, and through that reached most of the population. The program continues to work today. A self-sustaining model for treatment after calamity.
So we teach relaxation techniques with deep breathing. We teach techniques where you use guided imagery, techniques of drawing and written techniques and movement techniques, so that kids or adults can express what's very difficult to express, particularly after you're traumatized.
Now, in the Middle East, Gulf Coast, and with the U.S. military, the work continues.
School teachers we trained used our model with high school kids with post-traumatic stress disorder and showed very, very dramatic decreases in PTSD symptoms from 88% to 38% in 6 weeks. Our work in Israel is now spreading to every sector of Israeli society. People, many of whom would never have anything to do with one another in ordinary life.
It's something very new to a lot of people, so I'm planning to start a group right now with ultra-Orthodox women at my clinic.
In Gaza, our initial training was 90 people. We now have, every week, 40 mind-body skills groups are happening throughout Gaza.
فركزت على تمرين الاسترخاء اللي أنا كنت دائما بستفيد منه فمن يومها لليوم ما راحت مشاكل دقات القلب هذه.
It never occurred to me to raise money. I thought, well, we'll put on these educational events and we'll hopefully break even.
In New Orleans, Dr. Gordon raised seed money to train an initial corps of healthcare providers.
New Orleans is like a country after a war. And in some ways it's even worse off because there's such a sense of betrayal and such a sense of desperation.
We are hurricane victims taking care of hurricane victims. And so we've had to put ourselves and our grief in the back burner, and then we're taking on the grief of others.
Many of us are having memory problems, word-finding problems, increased irritability.
I lived in rural Tanzania, and I've never seen anything like this. It's harder for me to live here than it was to live there.
Now, the center needs support to expand the programs for hurricane survivors.
To be truly American, to truly care about all the people of our country, we need to come to the aid, to really help these people to regain their faith and regain their hope. We need people with significant resources who see that and who want to work with us to help them do that.
This work is presented and packaged in such a way that we'll be able to train people in the community to reach out to their families. And I mean, that is the true nature of holistic medicine, where you can actually get down to the grassroots, to the family level, and have healthful behavior supported within a family circumstance.
Going to handle my work, my school, my marriage, my kids, everything in a whole different light now, because all that has been going on in my head is cleared up.
For soldiers coming home from Iraq and Afghanistan, a small group of medical personnel has been trained. But more resources are needed.
We've hit a lot of limits with allopathic medicine. Being a Western-trained physician myself, I know there are limits that we can't get to in helping individuals. We're needing other approaches. So there's a sense of desperation.
Our warriors are coming back, and we need to take care of them both physically and mentally. It's a healing of the soldier, his family, and our community, which expands across the United States.
Dr. Gordon and his center leverage every dollar, initiating programs, teaching more teachers, caring for the caregivers, and leaving behind a staff of healers.
For the military right now, we need initial training or advanced training. I mean, ongoing supervision and consultation, supervision of the work, bringing them together, doing research on the work. We need to produce the data that will then convince Congress and convince the military to give us large-scale funding.
What he's doing with these trauma survivors is really, I think, the zenith of his life's work, because it's really bringing together all the things that he's done in the past, the conventional, the alternative, in the most credible ways, in ways that are making a difference not only in the lives of the people he's working with directly, but because they're health professionals, it leverages all that to all the patients of these people, as well as to transforming the system itself.
It's incredible experience to see, Jim bring his work into some of the most difficult situations, and for those that experience that work to come out on the other side with hope, and in turn to bring that hope and that healing to others. It's some of the most leveraged philanthropy I've ever seen, and I encourage you to become part of it.
I would urge anyone who's at all interested in this work to give freely and give a lot.
People who invest with us need to have some imagination, compassion, vision. What we're doing is creating the opportunity for whole societies to heal themselves.